Alright, really quick before the video starts, I just want to make my goal clear for this series here, as I don't have the technical know-how or anything to do what I'm going to talk about. My goal for this series, Will It Retro, is not to, again, lower graphical quality or audio quality or whatnot so a game could fit onto an N64 cartridge, but instead to make almost a demake version of a game, just from theory of what we can take out of a game content-wise, so that it's still the same game at the end of the day, but with less content. For example, Smash Melee on the GameCube, if we were to put it onto an N64 cartridge as like a Smash Brothers 2, what characters could we take out? What maps could we take out? Items could we take out? So that's just less content in theory that I can fit onto an N64 cartridge, but still having the Melee premise, if that makes sense. But yeah, that's my goal for the series. Without further ado, enjoy the video. What's going on, guys? Evil Dragon here, back with another episode of Will It Retro, the new series that we finally have a name for, and today we're going to be looking at Twisted Metal 2, a PS1 game that's also actually recently re-released, I think within the last year here on PS5, so that's cool, but a PS1 game nonetheless, to where you get a car with guns and different special abilities, and you try and fight other cars with guns in a campaign mode, beat the boss, win, and you get a unique ending depending on who you picked as your driver and car. That's the premise. It's a lot of fun. Very simple game. You can cram it out relatively quickly if you just want to screw around and do the campaign by yourself. Obviously, if you want all the endings and want to do the unlockables, you have to look for some certain things and whatnot to unlock everything. But that's where here I'm to discuss, could this game fit onto an N64 cartridge? Why am I covering Twisted Metal 2? Well, because Season 2 of the show just released, and I figured now is a good time to cover the second game here. I watched the second season. I thought it was slightly worse than the first season. Some parts are better, some parts are worse. Overall, again, slightly worse. I won't spoil anything for it. If you haven't watched it, go ahead and watch it. It's still very good, nicely done, and I enjoyed it a lot. But yeah, that's why I think it was a good time to cover the second game here and see if we can fit it onto an N64 cartridge, because I just finished up watching the show, and like I said, it was very good. It was a PS1 game only with one disc, and a PS1 disc was typically around 700 megabytes, slightly less at 660 megabytes, but 700 is a nice number, we'll say there. And I found from Googling and researching for this video that Twisted Metal 2 was around 570 megabytes, slightly less there, but around that size. And so that's what we're working with. It's slightly bigger than some of the FNAF games we've looked at, so it should still be possible to fit onto an N64 cartridge. Speaking of which, what will we take out for it to fit on? Well, there's some maps, there's some characters that will be taken out, and some modes. But before all that, how is this game going to control? Well, let's get our standard picture of an N64 controller, and let's think of how it will drive. So, similar to the PS1, the joystick will be used to accelerate by moving up, decelerate using the down, and then steer using left and right. Now, the Z button on the back will be the machine gun, as again, the way we're going to hold it here is your left hand on the middle prawn, right hand on the right prawn. And while there is a brake, I was thinking, would the brake be better as the R bumper or the B button? And I think using the B button to brake would be a little bit weirder, because again, you have your special attack, and your special attack should be, the A or the B as something you tap every so often compared to, your machine gun, which you use a lot more, which is why it's the Z button. So I think for the brake, we'll have it as the R button as it's on the bumper. Your index finger on your right hand would genuinely rest there a lot easier, so that way you can use a brake. I think that would be for the best. And then again, your special weapon will be, I think A, as usually your thumb probably has a better chance of hitting that there, so your thumb would be able to hit A a lot easier. So yeah, A will be your special weapon. Once again, up to accelerate, down to deaccelerate or reverse, left and right to steer, machine gun is the Z button on the back, brake is the R bumper on the right side, and A is your special weapon there. The start button, of course, would, select your stuff in the menu and pause the game and allow you to exit and whatnot. But that's the controls out of the way. What are we going to remove? Well, similar to what I talked about in the first game, with the first Twisted Metal game, we're going to be taking out the campaign, as I believe that Twisted Metal, to cram it down onto an N64 cartridge, would work better as a multiplayer game rather than a story mode based game. Because, similar to Mario Kart, yes, you can pick, all the maps at once, but, there's no story to it, so to speak. So pretty much you'll have access to all the maps at once, which will be all the new maps. All the old maps that you use with hidden codes, like the rooftops, for example, all those maps will be taken out, the hidden maps. Just the new maps that are in Twisted Metal 2, you'll be able to select for, again, this, pop in the game, deathmatch style only mode. It'll be the only mode you can play. You can play by yourself, or you can play with up to 4 other players, and as well, there will be 10 competitors instead of the normal 6 that appear in a match. Now again, really quick, I did say the map, so the maps that will appear in Twisted Metal 2, or at least our version of Twisted Metal 2, will be Firewalk Amazonia, the Monumental Disaster in Paris, the Quake Zone Rumble in LA, the Suicide Slide in Moscow, the Big Leap in New York, the Drop Zone in Antarctica, Field of Screams in Holland, and the Hong Kong Crunch in Hong Kong. Again, the Assault in Suburbia and Rooftop Combat maps that are hidden, you have to use a code. Those just won't be in the game at all. And like I said, how this game will work out is you, up to 4 players, against either 6, 7, 8, or 9 AI, we'll all just battle out to see who wins. And depending on who wins, that's how you get the ending. So while there's not technically a campaign mode, if you win your match, that's how you get your ending in this Twisted Metal tournament, so to speak. But now we get into who do we take out. And this is the fun part I got to come up with, because there's now 12 characters in the game, if we don't include the boss. But if we include all the bosses and hidden characters, there's 15 characters in Twisted Metal 2. So who do we take out? Well, like I said, in the first game, I got it down to 10 characters. And similarly, I want to get it down to 10 characters here. Let's name them all off really quick. We have Sweet Tooth, of course, but he is a hidden character. We have Twister, Mr. Grimm, Axel, Roadkill, Hammerhead, Grasshopper, Mr. Slam, Outlaw, Shadow, Spectre, Thumper, Warthog, Minion, and Darktooth. And so again, those are all the 15 characters, and if we want to shorten it down to only 10, well, I think we remove the boss, Darktooth. It's kind of just a reskin, a bigger version of Sweet Tooth. And again, it's just the boss, so if we're taking out the whole campaign story mode, and it's just a sort of deathmatch style game that, you pop in, just for some fun on the side, then there doesn't need to be a boss, so Darktooth is removed. Going down, unfortunately, I'm trying to keep all the new characters in. This is a sequel to the first game, so while there might be similar characters, there shouldn't be a lot of the same ones, unless they're iconic, like Sweet Tooth or Mr. Grimm, for example. So unfortunately, kind of how Minion's only a mini-boss, and he is a hidden character. He also hasn't changed his look from the first game at all. Unfortunately, Minion is also going to get cut for the second time. Sorry, bud. But now we move on to, we have 13 left. We still have to remove 3. And I was trying to think, who do I take out? Well, it won't be stuff like Twister or Axel or Grasshopper or any of these characters, Shadow. They're new characters. We want them to stay. Again, while Sweet Tooth is a hidden character, and we'll keep him in as a hidden character that you have to find on the one map by, jumping off and doing the code and whatnot, he's too iconic to take out. Of course, so is Mr. Grimm. He's pretty iconic, being in a lot of the games. So who's not in a lot of the games? Well, last time I cut out Spectre. And you know what? Spectre stays in this time because they changed up his design relatively enough. It's not just a white sports car. He's got some blue and stuff in there. But then I was looking, and Thumper is literally the exact same vehicle. No changes at all. No recolors, no reskins, no nothing from the first game. So he gets cut. Similar to Outlaw. Same exact car. There's a very small little image, but they're all just a bunch of pixels on the front of the car. So Outlaw's also going to get cut. And the final car I decided to cut was Warthog. Why? Well, Warthog, once again, is pretty similar to being the exact same car with a recolor from green to red, or I guess maroon, and that's it. He's just a very simple recolor. But with that, I think that's everything. I think that's how we can get Twisted Metal 2 to fit onto an N64 cartridge. Let's review really quick one more time. The controls: up to go accelerate, backwards to reverse, left and right to steer with the joystick. The right bumper will be your brake. The Z button will be your machine gun, and then the A button will be your, special weapon, with the start button being how you select and pause and all that stuff there. Again, the maps we're getting rid of the Rooftop Combat and Assault on Suburbia hidden maps that you need, so all the base Twisted Metal 2 games or levels will be in the game. And then the characters that we're taking out is the boss of Darktooth, the mini boss / unlockable character Minion, and then the very similar to their first game counterparts, Outlaw, Thumper, and Warthog. With the other 10, or I guess 9, and then you have to unlock Sweet Tooth, finding him in the hidden code. That's all that the game will be, and the game won't have a story mode or anything. Instead, you just load up as many controllers as you have loaded in, you pick your character, pick a level, kind of like Smash Brothers, and you just go and fight. And if you win, you get that ending. And with that, I think that's how Twisted Metal 2 could fit onto an N64 cartridge. I hope you guys did enjoy nonetheless. Maybe leave a like, maybe leave a nice comment down below, maybe hit that subscribe button, retain the little bell, leave a comment down below on a game you want to see on the Will It Retro series, and maybe I'll cover it in the future. And I'll see y'all next time for some more of the Will It Retro series. Bye, everybody.